Alright everyone, it's time to continue talking about the left's slow transformation into a bunch of total fucking sellouts, especially with regards to the topic of war, and surveillance, and censorship, and basically everything else. Their newfound appreciation for the use of corporate censorship as a tool to destroy their political opponents. Yes, it's very, very classically liberal indeed. The total hippies. Basically, trust the man. The man is the good guy, and if you disagree, you're a Nazi. Yesterday, they were criticizing Trump up and down. They're fucking reaming him because he failed to show up at Arlington on Veterans Day. He's like, well, it's going to be pouring rain, so, I'll take a rain check on this. And they fucking lost it. They're like, oh, he's disrespecting our troops on this And it's like, so the left that spent years calling, like, Vietnam vets baby killers and shit like that, all of a sudden it's a very solemn occasion, your favorite holiday, red, white, and blue fucking star-spangled, fireworks going off, and American beer and hot dogs and brats, all that shit. It's like, okay. So you sound like the hyper-patriot fucking shoot steroids directly into your fucking eyeball Bushite Republicans right after 9/11. That's what you now resemble. You love censorship, especially if it's, done by billion-dollar multinational corporations. You think that the government, by and large, is benevolent, like bureaucrats and stuff can be trusted to investigate themselves. Now you're pro-war. It's like they've joked about Trump being President Bonespur before. Like when he talks about foreign policy, they're like, oh, haha. He was a coward. He didn't want to go shoot at random people in rice paddies, and rightfully was probably, and it probably is true, he's like, well, he gets his deferment because he doesn't want to go serve because, hey, maybe I don't want to die in my early 20s. Might be a good idea. And so they call him a coward, but this is the same group. I mean, the Democrats, Jimmy Carter was the one that pardoned all of the people who had dodged the draft in Vietnam. The left had, by and large, for decades, had said, well, in essence, it was an inappropriate war. It was prefaced on basically a false flag with the Gulf of Tonkin. It wasn't even proper for us to be involved. It was the result of Cold War hype, the domino effect sort of bullshit. And we shouldn't have been there, and they didn't disrespect the idea that a person would not want to have gone off and fought in a war that didn't really have anything to do with our national defense. Now all of a sudden they deride Trump for having been part of that same apparent group, although he didn't technically dodge, he was just deferred multiple times. And it's like, well, you don't know anything about his heel spurs or whatever, you're not his doctor, maybe it's legit. It is possible, it's just not particularly likely, but why do you fucking care? And you've spent years like, you're the people who indulge the same groups, the same craptivists that'll go to a veteran's graveyard and scrawl hammer and sickles and pig and fuck soldiers all over their gravestones, and then you want to ramble about how much you appreciate our wonderful heroes at Arlington. Yes, it's very important to go visit these chiseled stone monuments that lay above the calcified remains of these dead people. It's a very important symbolic act now, isn't it, to the left? It's just like it's very symbolic to be hyper-patriotic towards the FBI or other bureaucratic outlets. Very, very important. You're a traitor if you don't agree. You fucking slimebag sellouts. You sound exactly like Bush Republicans, and I was warning years ago that that was the direction that the left was moving in. They had begun to abandon the principles that made them the left in the first place. Trump is more on the left ideologically at this point. On the authentic left, I mean. That's the sane left. Trump has openly trumpeted this on Twitter. He's like, oh yeah, basically, this is what Schumer said before the Democrats lost their minds and went insane. Don't you think that's a signal? He's trying to tell you, look, basically, Trump is a business Democrat. He's from Manhattan. He's not from Wyoming. But he remembers the Democrats of the 80s or the 90s when they had some good ideas, or at least the 80s, before they sold out. Ultimately, Bill Clinton transformed the liberal movement into one that was more pro-government, took it away from its authentically left-wing roots of, in the classical sense, limited government, in the sense of the hippies, almost anarchism. Left anarchism after a fashion, libertarianism after a certain mode. Closer, oddly enough, to the ANCAP lifestyle, only without the capitalism. It's very, very strange. Although they did have it, but kind of not. And they just didn't like government. Hey, don't trust anyone over 30. I'm right on the threshold of that shit. Now hippies won't like me in a few months. Don't trust the man. Government is ultimately bad. War is bad. Surveillance and censorship. They had tinfoil hat conspiracy theories like that the Gulf of Tonkin was orchestrated to get us involved in Southeast Asia, and it turned out the hippies were right. Turned out that all the far left fucking drug snorting hippies were actually correct, and the establishment that called them lunatics was wrong. Now the establishment is telling us, fucking go worship at the rocks of people that we had killed and pretend that's patriotism. Instead of trying to prevent war, you should worship the fallen. I think that the way you honor your veterans is trying to make fewer of them. I would like it. I think it'd be the best of all possible United States if we have as few graves in Arlington as possible. I think we should try to keep it as small as we can. I think the fewer people that we send to get shot at in some foreign theater, generally speaking, the better. And the left said this half a decade ago, but then Obama's drone war became evident and they totally flipped. Within the course of a short year or two, they stopped having a problem with overseas proxy wars, with interventionist combat, with adventurism, wars for oil, all that stuff they totally forgot. They did exactly what the hippies did when they came back and became disco dancing yuppies. Fucking they looked like David Bowie in his glam period, now they look like David Bowie singing Modern Love, and it's like, okay, that style works for him, it doesn't work for you, you're a sellout. And then they had kids and moved to the suburbs, and they switched from hash to cocaine, and now they're back to marijuana again because it's legal. And so they're like, oh, we don't want our kids smoking it, it's a terrible habit, but, you know, toke, very funny. They're sellouts, basically. And I know that not everyone in that age range is a sellout. Most of them were never hippies to begin with, by the way. Most of the counterculturalists were older people. The youth was more pro-war at the time than the older people, believe it or not. You always see, like the Woodstock concert, people getting together, just have peace, fucking John Lennon and shit. By and large, that was a minority group within the youth. They were the hippies were like beat on and spit at and stuff. Small minority. Most people supported the war effort because they're like, oh, we must stop communism. Almost nobody knows this. There are so many open facts that are out there that so few people actually know. Like, so few Americans even know where half the countries in the world are on a map, and it's rather dismaying. I'm a little bit of an aficionado of studying maps. I just find it relaxing. Can't help it. But no, Trump failed to go to Arlington. Terrible time. The left is very, very concerned. They're also concerned when he tries to bring peace to Korea. Oh, he's talking to dictators. Well, you would have loved it if Obama had said, hey, I'm going to have a good idea. I'm going to go to North Korea and try to have a summit. They would have said, oh, the great peacemaker, give him another Nobel Prize. You know that they would have. Absolutely. So they've completely sold out. They're now pro-war. That's about all. Peace out.